Uh, Disclaimer, I'm not on my best internet, so in case I drop out in the middle for no reason, you know why. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so today I think I'll actually go through one of the Orchestrator mods, which is not a new feature, but essentially refactoring the existing provisioning module to use better modules or to remove all the V1 code. So in case you're wondering, this is merge request 77 in the Orchestrator repo. So what I already have in place is I have a Google Cloud Service account. I have a bucket, a GCS bucket to store Terraform state and stuff like that. And I have the repository cloned with the correct branch. And regarding configuration, I have the RC file corresponding to the necessary configuration for Orchestrator app. It's just some configuration settings for Orchestrator to use. Okay. So those are all actually demo things. I don't have any actual sensitive information in there. Cool. So to kickstart, actually I should have done this before I did this, but let's see. Wait, what? The permission to read. All of this are. Okay, I think this may be running from my previous run. Yeah. Sorry about that. So I'm essentially bringing in the runtime container to run the orchestrator. This will have all the necessary dependencies and all those things available. So while that happens, I actually wanted to go through the MR itself to see what are the main things changing. It closes multiple issues. So adds ability to provision multiple node types, Redis, Gitly, load balancer. Yeah.
The TLDR is that you can deploy the resources to put together a 2K reference architecture, but we don't have the configure portion yet. So this adds everything to make the resource available, and 13.4 we're going to do you can configure these things. So
Cool. Thanks. In case you didn't believe my internet sucked, you can actually see it in action. Okay, let's actually go through the MR. So this actually makes the new provision logic the default one.
Yes, this does away with the split development model.
Okay. Actually, but how mandatory is it to use the container for this purpose? If I have Ansible and Terraform and everything available, I can just use my local machine, right?
I believe so. I'm also going to highly encourage you to make sure that you install it to Ubuntu 16.04. So make sure you set the option for the OS.
Okay. Actually, I want to see what happens if I just run provision cluster. I have all the settings. No, I have to run this from. Backend is empty. So it did get updated.
It helps if I unmute. That's the other change that I mentioned had gone in using a different backend. To keep what you had, backend, set it to GCS in quotes. And just for the purpose of history of the call, we now support using a GitLab project as a backend. So you can use, if you want to set backend type GitLab, and then you need like your personal token for that project for the API, and you can set that up, and you can actually use GitLab as your backend instead of Google. Thank you, Mitchell Nilsson, for that merge request.
Okay, I'm able to write the module manifest file. Let's say root. So these are from when I last tried this, and I did it inside the container which ran as root user. So most of my files have a permission issue. Okay. Okay, so I have one application node, 3 databases, and 3 console nodes. Let's see. Assemble inventory. Okay. Are we over-iterating? Like, I see duplicates in here.
RSA, EDCSA, EDH 2519.
Okay.
We should probably port that changeover from the night provisioner and allow you to target with what key you're using. So I'll add that as a note.
Cool. Okay. I'm asked to run this with the timer flag. Small t or minus t. Small t.
When I answer your questions, by the way, I keep forgetting to unmute.
Sorry, I didn't actually get that.
I said, whenever you ask a question, I'll answer and then forget I'm unmuted. But by the time I unmute, you've answered it yourself.
So, to others watching the demo, when I asked Robert how much time does this take, does it run under the demo time? I was given 23 minutes as the total time taken to run at least this orchestration step, which is why we pass the minus t flag to see what happens.
Although it looks like you're running non-geo, so I think the answer will be 13 minutes. It's
Okay.
23. Geo adds 10
That's
minutes,
better.
which is something we're gonna probably need to look into, because adding 2 more nodes should not, like, double-ish the time. So
Okay.
that's why we did the Python. Again, thank you, Mitchell, for adding the timer flag. So
but for Geo, Rails stuff also comes into play, right? You need to set up replication and all those things too, not just spinning up the machines.
Yeah, there's replication and yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff. It may be, it is what it is because of all the database stuff, but the big thing was when we started this, I really wanted instrumentation and I didn't have time for it. And Mitchell surprised me with an MR. I was like, hey, here's timings. I was like, yay. So this is one of my favorite MRs that we put in just because I love instrumentation.
This installing the package, which can take a little bit of time. It's like 700 MB plus to unpack.
About 30 seconds to download, 4 minutes and 38 seconds to install, typically. So.
GitLab should have a feature for Noticeboard for stuff like this.
Should have a what?
Something like a Noticeboard where we can put stuff like this without going through the Git process. So every time you want to update the current happenings, you need to update README, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. We actually have kind of an open question about that. One of our other issues as well, because Mitchell and I, like, we keep all of our notes as like we're doing certain work. We just keep all of our shared findings in one issue, but it confuses the heck out of everyone else because we're treating it like a Google Doc where we just put stuff in, but there's no deliverable around it. And so we found out, I found out in our last meeting, it's confusing everybody because they're like, is this deliverable? Is this a thing? And the answer is no. It's basically, it's a Google Doc, but we're doing it in the open. So that would actually be like I thought we had a wiki feature, but I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah, we have a wiki feature.
So that might be what I'm going to do with that then. Mitchell, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so I think you and I should look into using the wiki for stuff. And we can dog food using that in projects. I don't know that any of our other mainline projects use it. So, more dog food.
Yeah, we can do that. I just like the comment threading that can happen on issues, but I think the wiki could work too.
Yeah, I feel the same way. We'll figure it out.
Yep. I left the comment though, thinking, you know, if this research issue is really just us taking notes, if we're eventually planning to have like an epic or an overarching issue for the Golang conversion, we could put those kinds of notes there. It might make more sense since those would be notes on an overarching project instead of just a standalone issue for some notes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can buy that. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, I like that too. I do think, you know, there may be some confusion around the way it's being used now, but, you know, if the folks that are doing the work are able to make progress quickly on it, then that's kind of like, I'd say, the prime directive, and then we can explain how we're using it to others. But yeah, I like the idea of dogfooding other features.
The primary goal I have is maximum transparency. So,
because I imagine we'll probably have an epic for the Golang conversion, right? There's going to be lots of issues that will.
I'm pretty sure we already have one somewhere. So I'll go look.
I was thinking.
Yeah. So.
The model we've been using is like, here's the big epic, here's the big thing that we want to do is the epic, and then the first issue is here's the spike to go figure out all of the things that we have to do to complete this epic, and then more issues fall out of that spike to populate the overall epic.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah,
the issue that exists now sounds like that first issue out of an epic that you just described. So
yeah, and I think
Mhm.
that's the part that's maybe not clear to everyone. But that's the model. Like I think we did that for Postgres. I think we did that for Petroni. That model works really well when working with like product, because then they see like, hey, here's the big thing, and then they start to see the progression over time of, you know, as the spike is completed, the plan starts to formulate itself.
got it. Yeah, I looked quickly for an epic and didn't see one, but I could have missed it. But we could basically just transfer some of those notes into that, or into the
Yeah, we
first
could,
issue out of that epic. Mhm.
after this, I'll go take a look and see. Robert and me are going to chat later, so we can look at it. We've been doing a lot of
Sounds
interesting things on the Orchestrator project in terms of, you know, using weights and other
Mhm.
things in GitLab that we haven't done with some of the other projects, just because this one's new. It's a nice opportunity to spread our wings a little bit.
Yeah. So I have a dumb/funny question. Where have we written down what the default configuration brings up? Like I can see it's 3 console, 3 database, and an application node, and node JIO, but is this a PG scaled instance? What type of instance is this? Do we write that down anywhere?
Yeah, it should be in the quick start guide. It used to be. We have refactored this quick start guide like 7 times as people go, this guide is not quick, please help. So, but it should be in there what it does by default. And the site tag for this is omnibus-pipeline. So, maybe it's in the deploy README.
Yeah, let me go look at deploy. Because we ask people to copy the ARSI script and well, just topology options.
So I don't see it there looking through. And as the one who like helped write most of the documentation, I'm going to say, let's call that out as a thing that it should be written down somewhere what it is. It's likely to change to like maybe the 2K reference architecture, but for right now it's the omnibus pipeline because we didn't want to spin up a whole humongous thing by default.
Yeah, makes sense. So by default, this now does what provisioner does, right?
Yes.
Spins up a PG scaled in, configuration.
You got
it. Okay, makes sense.
Yep. And I'm going to throw out another question here. This is for you as the person using this. Do you feel like having the documentation in the script directory where like you go into deploy and there's a README there with deploy? Does that make sense to you? Or would you rather see that in the doc directory and have everything kind of living around in the doc directory? Because this has come up other ways.
I don't mind it living in another directory, but doc, it should be linked somewhere from doc. Because I will be looking first at the doc directory, and I expect it to have links to wherever else I need to go. So if something is written in scripts, doc something, it should be linked from the parent doc directory. That's how I personally expect stuff to be, because I might not even bother to check the project directory structure and see where all will be documentation. I expect everything to be inside the doc directory itself.
Yep. They are cross-linked, but I don't think it's necessarily. I think discoverability, this is one of those things in the project. Almost everything is written down. It's like 95% coverage, but it's about as clear as diving headfirst into a mud puddle. Sure, it's all dirt, but which one do you want? Like, so that metaphor made no sense. I apologize.
I actually got what you meant, even though the metaphor didn't. So we have 3 more minutes as per my clock. I believe we are at the replication step, registering with the expected primary.
Yep.
Okay, we are towards the end of the process then.
Yep. About 13 minutes is what I expected, and we're at that timer on the right. We're at 13:04. So.
Yeah. Okay, Orchestrator deploys 1 application node, 3 database nodes, and 3 console nodes by default.
Which document was that in?
This is Kickstart.
Okay.
Under configuration options. GitLab configuration fragments directory.
No, I think I just realized why I have 13 minutes stuck in my brain. Because I've been running all my stuff in the pipelines actually on GitLab, and that's GCP talking to GCP internal, so it's probably faster.
Okay. Yeah, possible.
But you are almost done, so.
Okay. Technically, we are out of time, so in case you have some other thing to do, feel free to drop out. I will actually continue to let this go, let this run to its completion.
Yep, sounds good. We can always condense this down or watch it quick time. Jeff, folks need to bail. That's understood.
That's actually interesting. This reconfigure, aren't we already past setting up replication? So what exactly did this reconfigure do? Oh, we are only creating PG pass file now. Okay. Yeah, not there yet.
So Robert, being that Balu isn't setting up Geo, should his application node be tagged with primary Geo site?
I think Robert said he would be right back. He might not be at his keyboard.
Apply JIO Migration. Oh, this should be a no because by default I am not setting up JIO.
Well, it is skipping that task, right?
Yeah, it's skipping.
Yeah.
Install the license. Okay, that probably requires the entire Rails ecosystem to come up. I believe it's the Rails runner command. So this will take time.
I am back, and I feel like there's value in pointing out that when running the same pipeline in the project, it takes 13 minutes. And I find that very curious because as I was AFK for a minute, I was thinking about through it. I'm going, well, it's all downloading in GCP. The only difference is the round trip returning data back to your node.
Yeah.
So why does, I mean, I know your connection is slow, but this is literally just text over a stream. The latency shouldn't add that much time.
Okay, I got a failure warning. I don't think it's not an actual error code, but
There's normally just a final printout of the full run in the timestamps, how long everything took. I think you might just have to rebase on master because I believe we fixed that by pulling in a newer version of the base image using a newer version of Ansible. Does that sound right, Robert?
okay, this might be wrong version of Ansible though. I just used the Debian one, which can be outdated.
Yeah, it came in Ansible, I think 2.8. So.
Okay, so final tally is 22 minutes.
Yep.
Personally, I don't mind for an HA instance. So, yay.
Hey, Robert, DJ also mentioned a question about if one of the nodes should have gotten tagged with GIO, since we're not deploying GIO.
Yeah, this one. So it's a console node, but it has a primary GIO site tag, while I am not deploying a GIO instance.
Yes, because GIO site. I'm trying to remember what that tag actually means. I think yes, because everything gets its primary, it's a tag to differentiate later. And so it doesn't get turned off when you do it. It doesn't get turned off because if you add the tag later, you'll destroy your primary. So if you add GIO after the fact, you'll have to destroy the primary cluster to redeploy the secondary. If I remember correctly. I'll have to look back into that.
Hey, Robert, I remember talking about tagging things so that later on you can add to it without, messing things up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have a public IP address.
If you just do the provision again, it'll output the IP addresses.
Okay, that's great.
There you go. The X. I'm going to ask a question, Balu.
Yeah.
Did you fetch this before or after? Because that does not look like the output you should be getting.
I'm not sure what you meant.
What is the tip of the branch for this? Like, what's your last commit? Because this should show. I mean, that's good, but like all that extra stuff it showed.
Yeah. So this is GCP won't use underscore syntax. I did pull it just before starting the demo.
I'll need to go look at that again because it's supposed to show basically internal, external, and whatever. It's not supposed to show all that extra stuff.
So I am on Terraform server 1229 in case that matters.
Well,
Do
that,
I have
what I'm
any-
saying is the resource thing isn't even defined as an output, so or shouldn't be.
Okay, I think it works. Let me just create something to check the database connectivity works. Yeah, this is my internet being slow. Okay, so it did work. We do have database connectivity.
Hooray.
Cool. So I think I'll actually stop my screen right now, sharing my screen. As far as the MR is concerned, we did confirm the default configuration worked. We might want to test it using JIO to ensure we didn't break something that was working already. But so far, so good. Okay, does anyone want me to try out anything else, or we can actually wind up the call? Crickets, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Thanks everyone for joining. See you
Thank you, Blue.
later.